Alright, testing. Okay, now for last video, we talked about the basic operation of per unit tax, right? Now, for this video, we are going to focus on one very specific concept of the per unit tax. We call it tax burden. Okay, now instead of looking at this definition, I suggest we actually skip a little bit ahead to talk about the examples, the figurative examples first. Okay, now here, given the situation, okay, original situation is like this. Okay, now here, suppose the government imposes a per unit tax of $3。嗱，而家啦3蚊啦，係咪？ So remember, as usual, we cross out all the QS here and see. Now originally, $1 will provide 6. Now $3, so we will only $4, 6, 8, etc. Okay, now new situation will be here. Now, but let us not focus on other things. We only want to focus on the tax payment itself. Okay, now let's figure out the tax payment. The total tax, it will be like this. Each unit $3 per unit tax, and right now we are talking about 8 units. So to the government, there is a total of $24 of tax revenue. Now there is a funny thing. Now let's call this guy is the $24 government tax revenue. Okay, for government. Now we in this topic, we are going to break it down into two parts. 嗱，24蚊，記住，原來24蚊咧係由兩個人俾嘅。Okay, now there are two players that are paying the tax, consumer and producer. Okay, now how do we define consumer and producer? Okay, now remember the new price here. New price is $5. Original situation $3。嗱，見唔見啊 ？Right now there is a $2 increase in price， 係咪？好，我想問啦，呢嘢貴咗係邊個 suffer 啊 ？Producer 定 consumer 啊？嘢貴咗當然係 of course the consumer is the one to suffer. Therefore, here remember each unit here. 8 units, $3 tax. In fact, out of the $3, $2 here. $2 times 8 units. This part is suffered by the consumer， 因為個稅佢俾貴咗2蚊啊嘛，係咪？俾貴咗2蚊係咪佢蝕底咯？然後買100件 ，this $16 we call this consumer tax burden (CB). Okay, because consumer is the one being suffering here, right? But then you may be asking, now out of the $3, only $2 per unit being suffered by the consumer. What about the rest of the $1? What about the rest of the $1? 喂，唔係 consumer 食，咁係邊個食啊 ？Of course, the producer would need to eat the rest of the 8 units. $8 $1 per unit. We call this producer's tax burden. Okay, producer tax burden. OK， 嗱得唔得？嗱，所以啦，原來 consumer tax burden. What is consumer tax burden? It means the increase in price due to an introduction of tax， 因為稅令佢俾貴咗嘅，得唔得 ？This part we call consumer tax burden. Producer tax burden is the rest of it。嗱，我哋有啲名詞要學咗佢嘅。嗱 ，think about it. Government collect $3. You raise the price by $2， 似唔似呢3蚊裏面我有2蚊 ？The 2 out of this $3 tax $2 are being shipped to the producer， 由你幫我去交啦。Shipped by increasing the price here. Shift by increasing the price. Okay? The parts that cannot be shifted, producer will have to eat it on their own. Okay? 係咪啊？貴咗咪即係將個 burden shift 咗俾個 producer 咯，俾個 consumer 咯，佢要俾噶嘛，係咪 ？Therefore, these are the definitions of consumer tax burden and producer tax burden. Okay? 嗱得唔得啊 ？So remember, adding up together, it should be the total tax received by the government. Okay? This one consumer, producer. Okay? Adding together, it should be the total tax received by the government. 得唔得啊？呢個原來我哋就講緊啦 ，tax burden 嘅定義由邊個人去俾呢嚿錢啊 ？Okay, now I suggest instead of drawing the graph, let us consolidate further. Consolidate a bit first. 我哋啦先睇咗啲數字嘅 example 先，好唔好啊？一陣間我哋最後 in the final part before we move on to the sharing of burden, we will talk about graph. Okay, now let's look at figure example first. Okay, now so sorry. I think in this question, I don't remember how much tax is it. Yes, $3 tax. 寫漏咗，對唔住啊。This question is a $3 per unit tax. Now, you just do one thing. We need to find the ratio between the buyer's tax burden and consumer tax burden and producer tax burden. Now, no need to do a lot of mathematics. You do one thing for me only. Okay? Now, first of all, find the original $8. Okay? Now the new situation. I should have used red. I'm so sorry. Okay? Now, the new situation, $3. So, 80, 120, 160. The new price would be $10. Do you see? Here, price increased by $2. So, let's draw it. Tax is $3 per unit. But now, the producer has raised the price by 2. Okay? This part is the part that the consumer suffers. Now, this is the consumer tax burden. The rest of the part, $1 per unit, this one should be bared by the producer themselves. Shift 唔走啊！收3蚊稅只係加到2蚊啊，係咪啊？所以 shift 咗2蚊，仲有1蚊要自己食啦。Therefore, you will see that the ratio should be 2 to 1. Okay, $2 versus $1. 得唔得？ This is the way we look at tax burden. 即係而家邊個食得多啲啊？原來啊，呢個稅 because of this tax, consumer is suffering more than the producer. Okay, 得唔得？ This is the way we look at it. Now, more example. Now, this question is a little bit funny, especially this guy. Quite funny. Okay, now here, the original situation. Okay, now they only give you QD, right? No QS. Now, don't worry, it's actually way easier. Now, suppose the government imposes a tax. Now, let's write it down. Tax is $3. Okay. Now, equilibrium increase from 12 to 13. 由12變13. So, price increase is $1. Immediately, we can work out the ratio CB to PB, right? Should be 1 to 2, because out of each unit, out of the $3 tax, consumer only eats $1. The rest of the $2 will be eaten by the producer themselves. Okay, 得唔得？ Here, consumer bear a larger tax burden? Obviously wrong, because they bear a smaller burden, right? Now, elasticity of demand is greater than 1. Now, how do we calculate elasticity, right? Now, obviously, you can calculate the percentage, right? But also, we have a smarter way, right? Now, here, let's figure out something. Original, $12, meaning the original QS should be 140, right? Should be 140. Now it increases to 13. So at this point it should be 120, or else how can it be the new equilibrium, right? So original TE1 should be this guy. 幾多啊應該my goodness. Let's cheat, okay? Let us cheat. Okay? Original would be 12 times 140. This guy. 1680 Okay? Now, the new TE. Okay, let us cheat again. 13 times 120. 1560. Now, do you see? With the tax, actually, the TE would decreases. So using our very easy formula, P times Q, right? P times Q. P increases, but TE somehow decreases. To balance this equation, Q has to move faster. So actually, elasticity of demand is greater than 1. This is a correct answer. Okay, 得唔得？嗱 total tax burden 咩叫 total tax burden? Actually, it means tax revenue. Okay, tax revenue. Look at it. Tax revenue. How to calculate? Each unit $3. New quantity 120. Actually, it should be 360, not 120. 係咪？因為 total. Okay. Now total sales revenue. Including tax has increased. Remember, we say the objective of tax is to discourage the producer from making too much. Therefore, total sales revenue after tax, it has to decrease. There is no possibility that increase. Okay, it has to decrease. Okay, 唔使諗啊，唔使計，唔使計，你信我唔使計啊。It has to decrease. Okay, 得唔得？嗱。Next one is the funny question. Now it says, if the equilibrium price of the goods falls back to $12 per unit due to a decrease in production cost. Now meaning, there is a further increase in supply. Okay? So, A, producer will bear all tax burden. Now, what is it trying to tell you? Now, using our logic, remember, we say, tax is $3, right? Right now, original $12. Now, there is no price increase. Oh, so you see here, all are PB, right? They eat all, right? 係咪啊 ？Producer 食晒。This is faking you, okay? 點解啊？ Because this is a new situation. 呢個係一個新嘅情況嚟㗎嘛，係咪 ？This is a new situation. You can't use a new situation plus the text to have any conclusion. In fact, we do not know for one good reason, because this is no longer other things being constant. 喂，大佬，呢個新嘅情況我點知啊？我點知啊？係咪啊 ？How do I know? Alright, so this is not the things that we want. Now, there will be excess demand. Now, obviously, no, 係咪啊 ？Remember, under tax, 係咪啊？記住啊 ，under tax, there should be no excess demand or excess supply. Okay, now that leaves us with B and D. Okay, now it's a little bit tricky. Okay. 嗱，頭先你講啦 ，total tax burden 係360蚊啊嘛，係咪？嗱係應該講360蚊啊嘛。嗱 we haven't gone to the sharing of benefit, right? We haven't gone to the sharing of benefit, right? Now, let's try to figure out B and D by doing some calculation, okay? Now, if the price goes back to $12, what does that mean? It would be $12 140 units. Now, in fact, we already have the answer. Now, what happens to the tax? Tax should be like this. $3 per unit, right? How many units? 140. In fact, the new tax revenue should be 420. 點解啊？多咗啊！見唔見啊？點解唔係360啊？做多咗20件啊？ It should be 420. So B is actually not correct. Okay. Now, what about net of tax? Let's do it. 睇睇到噃 TR. Let's do TR here. TR2 would be TE, the new TE minus tax. Now, new TE would be this guy. Minus 420. Okay. Now, I remember it should be this guy. Minus 420. The answer you will get 1260, which is the answer that we want. Okay? 得唔得？嗱，所以記住啦。嗱 the tricky one, remember, is A. Okay? This is a new situation. You can't just use a new situation plus the old situation and say, oh, no price increase, therefore they eat all. No, 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 no. You can't do it. Okay? You can't do it. Okay? We don't know about the sharing. Okay? 得唔得？ And this guy, remember, because quantity changed, therefore tax changed. Now, whenever you see these kind of questions, when in doubt, just follow the steps and work out the respective tax revenue and the so-called total revenue after tax. OK， 慢慢逐步計翻就得㗎啦，唔使驚嘅，其實係唔使驚嘅。你真係 work out 翻嘢出嚟啊，咁就 OK 㗎啦，好嘛 ？Alright, so let us move on. Now here again, they give you the original situation. Okay, now remember, original price here it should be 12, right? 係咪啊？12蚊啦。Now with a $4 per unit tax, now we need to do something with the with QS. Cross them all out. 因為4蚊啊嘛，10蚊肯做30件，而家變咗14蚊先肯做，因為要加4蚊啊嘛，係咪？300。400, etc. The new price P2 would be 14 units. Therefore, you see, tax is $4, but the price increase is $2. This is a consumer. So the rest of the $2, 剩低嗰2蚊會點啊？Rest of the $2, of course, producer 2 meaning the answer, the tax burden 1 to 1， 即係4蚊兩面，而家4蚊兩面有一半 shift 咗俾個 producer，half of the $4 per unit, half of it being shift to the consumer, the rest of it producer has to eat it on their own. OK， 得唔得啊？冇辦法啦，真係冇辦法啦。Alright, so let us look at 2 more questions, and then we'll go back to the graphical part. Why we do the graphical part last? We have a reason. Don't worry. Okay. Now 2 more solid concrete figure example. All right. Now 睇住啦噃。Here, original situation. Now mark it down first. Okay. Mark it down first. Original $5, 14 units. 係咪？得唔得？ Now, government imposed a $2 per unit tax. Now, if you still remember, you should be able to spot that this QS is a little bit strange. In fact, nothing will change. New situation also $5, 14 units. For this guy is perfectly inelastic. By definition, it cannot change, right? 係咪啊？好。So, seller's revenue net of tax is 70. Let's do the calculation. Okay, now TR2 will be TE2 minus tax. TE2 should be like this. 70 minus tax. Tax 係幾多啊？$2 per unit times how many units? 14. It actually should be $42, not 70. So unfortunately, it's wrong. It should be before tax. 係咪啊 ？New market price 新嘅 market price 係咪6蚊啊 ？We know it is not, right? It should be $5. $5變唔到嘅應該係咪啊 ？Total tax revenue we know $2 per unit selling 14 units 係咪啊 ？It should be 25. Okay. Now let's look at this question. Pay a little bit 係咪？我哋有少少鋪路啊，幫下一個 topic 啊。Okay. Now think about it. We have a 2 unit tax, $2. Unfortunately, there is a 0 increase in price. 即係轉唔轉嫁到俾人啊？乜嘢都轉嫁唔到喎。So the whole of the $2 producer has to eat it. 佢要食晒嗰2蚊要硬啃啊，完全 shift 唔到俾 consumer 加唔到佢價。Okay, now remember this. We will talk about this in the next topic. Okay, just remember this one. Okay, one more concrete concrete figure example. Okay, now here, mark it down. Original, $10, 100 units. Impose a $2 per unit tax. So, cross them all out. And do the new. Now, $6. Original, $6, 60 unit. Now, we need $2 extra. Okay, 80, 90, 100, 110啦，係咪？ So, the new situation, $11 and 90 units. Okay, 嗱望一望啦喎 ，sales revenue net of tax would be 900， 肯定唔係啦 ，net of tax 係咪啊 ？Because look at it, total revenue net of tax should be TE2 minus tax. Okay, now TE2 990. Now for the tax 嗱幾多蚊稅有嚟？而家有稅有幾多啊？$2 per unit. We are selling 90 units. Obviously, it is much lower than 990. 係咪應該幾多啊？應該係it should be 810, right? So unfortunately, this is not correct. Now tax burden borne by the sellers would be $90. Okay, now let's break it down. Here, 嗱我哋而家 tax 下記唔記得 ？Let's do it again. Here, tax per unit $2, right? Now an increase in price 10 to 11. $1 borne by per unit. Okay, this is consumer. The rest of the $1 by producer. Okay, each unit $1. We are selling for 90 units. Okay, 乘90啦。Therefore, tax burden borne by seller is actually yes, that is true. $90. Each unit they have to bear $1. $1 times 90, that would be 90. Okay, total tax revenue 計咗啦，唔啱。Okay, buyer's total expenditure would be decreased by 40. Let's check. Original. Okay, original 1,000, right? Now 99 is not 40. Okay, only 10. So this is not correct. Okay, so hopefully with these 4 examples, right now you have a better idea of what is tax burden, or what is consumer tax burden and producer tax burden. Okay, now we only talk about figures. Now it's time to go back a little bit and talk about how to show it in a graphical format. OK， 好唔好啊？我哋睇睇呢度啦，又有啲麻煩啊，今次會。Now make sure you know what is going on for this section. OK, I will take it very slow. Make sure you fully understand this part before you even attempt to move on. OK 嗱，聽唔聽得到？我講多次啊，呢 part 超級緊要，因為全港死得最可憐就係畫圖，得唔得？信我，你聽唔明呢 part， 唔該你由頭睇多次，睇極都唔明嘅，唔該你 WhatsApp 我，唔該你打電話俾我，你一定要識咗先好諗繼續向前，得唔得？嗱 ，this you have been warned, OK? You have been warned, OK? Now let's take it slow. 遠少少先嚇。Let's take it slow. Okay, this will be our standard demand supply diagram. Okay, now as usual, do the old thing that we have been doing. Demand 1, okay, this is supply 1. Demand 1 supply. Mark the following: P1, Q1. Okay, now if you remember, 嗱，如果你記得嘅話啦 with a tax, there will be an upward shift of supply, right? S2, this is our tax, right? Upward shift. Now, also mark P2, Q2, and do one more thing for me. Now, this is very important. This is very important. Highlight it, underline it first. So to make sure you won't use the wrong Q later. 你唔會用錯 quantity 啊 Make sure 你 highlight 咗先。Okay, now here, let me draw something for you. Remember the tax revenue. Okay. Now this is a per unit tax, right? Right now we are selling Q2 units. So this whole green thing, okay, let's draw it down. This whole green thing will be our tax revenue, 係咪啊 ？Tax revenue 就係呢嚿嘢啦。Whole green thing 得唔得？ Now we need to break this green rectangle into two parts, okay? Namely, consumer tax burden and producer tax burden. Now, why I ask you to mark these two is very important. 睇住啦噃。Increase in price, this part. Who suffers? 啲嘢貴咗，邊個 suffer 啊 ？Of course, this part, okay, this red rectangle would be our consumer tax burden. 呢個啊，上面呢嚿就係我哋嘅 consumer tax burden 啦，見唔見啊？因為呢忽係佢貴咗 ，they are suffering, right? Each unit suffer this much, selling this much unit. The rest of the tax, okay, will be suffered by producer. We call it producer tax burden. Now, I draw it out here, okay? This part is the increase in price, meaning the consumer, 係啊，呢個紅色呢個 consumer, this guy will suffer. It is their burden because things become more expensive, right? Okay? Now, the part below, producer tax burden, 望望啦。The rest of the tax would be borne by producer. Why? Because they can't shift the tax to the others, right? So they need to eat it by themselves. Okay? 得唔得？ Now, when in exam, you don't have so many colors. Now, the way do you notice how I draw it? You can draw like this. Okay? In exam. See, 見唔見啊？ The way you go diagonal is different. Okay? In this way, you can indicate clearly this is our consumer tax burden, this is our producer tax burden. OK 得唔得 Now this is the graphical representation. Now again, I need to remind you, you focus on Q2, ignore Q1. Okay, this is especially important when it comes to subsidy. Okay, now remember, this is a very important step. Okay, now I will end the video here. Okay, for next video we are going to talk about then under what situation would consumer eat more, under what situation would producer eat more. But before you click on the next video, I have to warn you, make sure you understand the content of this video first, or else you will die miserably. Okay, so until then, I'll see you next time.